A recent study published in the Journal of the American Heart Association revealed something shocking. Older adults who consumed certain healthy fruits every day had a 27% higher risk of arterial calcification, the hardening of arteries that leads directly to heart attacks. Yes, the very fruits you've trusted for decades might now be turning against you. If you're over 60, I urge you to stop what you're doing right now and pay close attention. You've spent your whole life making smart choices, skipping chips for fruit, cutting back on fried foods, avoiding sugar. You've done everything right. But what if I told you that some of the most common fruits in your kitchen, ones you eat every morning thinking they're helping your heart, could actually be silently damaging it? This isn't fear-mongering. This is medical fact. As we age, our bodies change dramatically. What helped your heart at 40 might sabotage it at 70. These changes are quiet, sneaky, and deadly. And sadly, most seniors don't realize it until it's too late. As a heart doctor with over 30 years of experience treating older adults, I've seen this pattern far too many times. Well-meaning patients unknowingly hurt by healthy habits no one warned them about. So in this video, I'll walk you through 5 fruits that may be silently harming your heart, and more importantly, what to eat instead to protect your health, independence, and future. Before we dive into the details, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Elderly Health Tips channel. This might just be the most important video you watch all year. Right now, let's take a look at 5 fruits that silently harm the hearts of seniors. Fruit 1. Grapefruit. Grapefruit contains a natural chemical called furanocoumarin. This compound blocks a key enzyme in your digestive system called CYP3A4, which your liver and intestines use to break down medications. Without CYP3A4 working properly, medications don't get metabolized. They just sit in your system and accumulate. That's when things go wrong. According to the FDA and Harvard Health Publishing, more than 85 medications are known to interact with grapefruit. The most common ones include statins, like simvastatin, atorvastatin, lovastatin, used for cholesterol, calcium channel blockers, like felodipine, nifedipine, for high blood pressure, antiarrhythmics, like amiodarone, for irregular heartbeats, immunosuppressants, like cyclosporin, anti-anxiety meds, like buspirone, painkillers and sleeping aids, like methadone or triazolam. A clinical study published in the British Medical Journal found that just 200 milliliters, a small glass of grapefruit juice per day, caused a 12-fold increase in blood levels of simvastatin in certain individuals. That's 1,100% higher drug concentration from just one drink. Can you imagine taking a 10 milligauss pill and your body reacts like it took 120 milligauss? That's not just side effects. That's toxic exposure. When medications build up beyond safe levels, these are the common organs that suffer: heart, irregular rhythms, arrhythmias, bradycardia, dangerously slow heart rate, risk of sudden cardiac arrest, brain, dizziness, confusion, lightheadedness, increased fall risk, especially dangerous for seniors, muscles, statin toxicity, muscle pain, cramping, or a serious condition called rhabdomyolysis, muscle breakdown that can shut down kidneys, liver and kidneys, elevated liver enzymes, kidney damage due to overprocessed drugs, Let me give you a real case from my clinic. Joe, 71, from Tallahassee, came in complaining of fatigue and sore legs. He'd been on simvastatin for 6 months. Everything looked fine until I asked about his breakfast. Turned out he was drinking half a glass of grapefruit juice daily because he heard it was good for cholesterol. We ran his labs. His CK levels were over 500. Normal is under 200. He was heading toward statin-induced muscle breakdown. We cut out the grapefruit. 2 weeks later, his energy came back. CK dropped. No dose change needed. Practical advice. What should seniors and middle-aged adults do? Here are simple but life-saving steps. Read medication inserts. If you see "do not take with grapefruit," take it seriously. Use orange or lemon instead. These citrus fruits do not contain furanocoumarins. Switch breakfast juice. Choose pomegranate, apple, or orange. Better for the heart, no interaction. Talk to your doctor. Some meds can be swapped for versions not affected by CYP3A4, e.g. pravastatin instead of simvastatin. Middle-aged adults. If you're in your 40s or 50s and just starting meds, ask now. Don't wait until side effects hit. Now it's fruit 2. Mango. One ripe mango has more sugar than a glazed donut. And for seniors, it can silently push blood pressure, blood sugar, and inflammation to dangerous levels. I know that sounds dramatic, but it's true. And it's something most older adults simply don't know. Mangoes are often seen as a healthy fruit. They're tropical, sweet, and full of vitamin C. But what most people over 60 don't realize is that mangoes are one of the highest sugar fruits available. According to data from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA, a single medium-sized mango contains 45 grams of natural sugar, 50 grams of total carbohydrates, a glycemic index, GI, of around 60, and a glycemic load, GL, of 16. That's higher than grapes, apples, or even bananas. In fact, the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition classifies foods with a glycemic load over 10 as high impact on blood sugar, meaning mangoes can cause sharp spikes in glucose even in non-diabetics. When you eat mango, especially on its own, your blood sugar can rise rapidly within 30 to 60 minutes. That sugar enters your bloodstream, triggers an insulin release, and in older adults, the body is often less responsive to insulin. This leads to elevated blood sugar, increases oxidative stress, chronic inflammation, especially in blood vessels. Endothelial damage, lining of the arteries becomes irritated. Higher blood pressure and risk of clotting. A 2020 study in Circulation from the American Heart Association found that older adults with frequent post-meal blood sugar spikes had 2.5 times higher risk of cardiovascular events, including stroke and heart failure. So this isn't just about diabetes. It's about arterial health, brain health, and organ aging. Here's how mango overconsumption impacts the body, especially in aging adults. The heart. Spikes in sugar contribute to arterial stiffness and plaque buildup. Can worsen high blood pressure due to insulin resistance. The brain. Sugar spikes are linked to cognitive decline. High GI foods increase risk of vascular dementia, especially after 65. The blood vessels. Mango-induced glucose surges promote inflammation of vessel linings. Long-term. Atherosclerosis, poor circulation, numbness in extremities. The muscles. High sugar levels reduce nitric oxide, impairing blood flow to muscles, leads to fatigue, cramps, and slower recovery after walking or exercise. So, do you need to give up mango completely? No. But you need to eat it wisely. Here are my top suggestions for mango lovers over 50. Eat no more than 1/2 cup of mango, about 80 Gs, per serving. Never eat mango alone. Always pair with protein or fat, e.g. at yogurt, nuts. Eat mango earlier in the day, ideally before 2 p.m., when insulin sensitivity is higher. Avoid dried mango. It's extremely concentrated and can contain up to 80 grams of sugar per cup. Try lower GI fruits instead. Berries, kiwi, green apple, or grapefruit, unless you're on heart meds. Let's move on to dangerous fruit. 3. Watermelon. Now, I get it. Watermelon is refreshing, low in calories, and feels like a guilt-free snack, especially on hot summer days. But here's the thing. For seniors or anyone with heart, kidney, or blood pressure concerns, too much watermelon isn't harmless. In fact, it can tip the scale in dangerous ways. Let's start with potassium, the heart mineral. A 2-cup serving of watermelon, that's 1 standard wedge, contains about 320 to 360 milligauss of potassium. Now, that might not sound like a lot, until you realize how easy it is to eat 4, 5, or even 6 cups in one sitting. The National Institutes of Health, NIH, recommends a maximum of 2,600 milligauss per day for women over 51 and 3,400 milligauss for men. But that's for healthy adults. If you have chronic kidney disease, CKD, or take blood pressure medications that affect potassium levels, like ACA inhibitors, ARBs, or spironolactone, your safe limit can be much lower. Sometimes just 1,500 milliliters a day. Here's the problem. Your kidneys are responsible for filtering out excess potassium. But with age, glomerular filtration rate, GFR, a key measure of kidney function, tends to decline. According to the National Kidney Foundation, nearly 38% of adults over age 65 have some stage of kidney dysfunction, even if they don't feel symptoms. When potassium builds up in the blood, it leads to hyperkalemia, which can cause irregular heartbeat, nausea, muscle weakness, tingling, or numbness, and in severe cases, sudden cardiac arrest. A 2021 study from JAMA Internal Medicine found that older adults with mild kidney dysfunction who consumed 3,000 milligauss of potassium daily had a 42% higher risk of hospitalization due to arrhythmias or heart failure within 1 year. Next, let's talk about sugar. Watermelon tastes sweet for a reason. It's high in natural sugars. A typical 2-cup serving contains 18 to 20 grams of sugar, 11 grams of natural fructose and glucose. A glycemic index, GI, of 72. A glycemic load, GL, of 7.2. The GI measures how fast a food raises your blood sugar. Watermelon is considered high GI, even though the glycemic load is moderate. Now here's the catch. Seniors often have reduced insulin sensitivity. That means their blood sugar stays elevated longer after eating high GI foods. In a study published in the Journal of Gerontology, adults over 60 who regularly consumed high GI fruits had 29% higher rates of cognitive decline due to repeated post-meal sugar surges and inflammation in cerebral blood vessels. And let's not forget, sugar pulls in more water into your tissues, which leads us to watermelon is over 92% water. Eating large amounts, especially in combination with increased fluid intake, can contribute to dilutional hyponatremia. This means your blood sodium levels drop because your body is overloaded with water relative to salt. Symptoms of low sodium include headaches, nausea, swelling, hands, legs, face, shortness of breath, confusion. In severe cases, seizures or coma. The American Journal of Medicine reported that older adults hospitalized with heart failure and hyponatremia had a 61% higher 30-day mortality rate compared to those with normal sodium levels. Practical advice for seniors and those nearing retirement age. Watermelon isn't evil, but moderation is essential. Here's what I tell my patients. Stick to 1 cup per serving, about 150 g. Avoid eating watermelon in the evening when kidney function is lowest. Don't eat it alone. Pair it with a protein or healthy fat to slow glucose absorption. Avoid if you're taking potassium-sparing meds, unless your doctor approves. Monitor for subtle symptoms, especially if you feel off during watermelon season. Fruit Chapter 4. Canned fruit. Most people think canned fruit is a healthy option, especially for older adults who may struggle to peel or prepare fresh fruit. But the truth is, many canned fruits are loaded with hidden sugars, sodium, and preservatives that can quietly wreak havoc on the heart, kidneys, and blood vessels, especially in people over 60. Let's look at what's really inside that can. According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA, here's what you'll find in 1 cup of canned peaches in heavy syrup. 39 grams of sugar. That's about 9.75 teaspoons, 150 to 170 calories, 130 200 milligrams of sodium. Less than 1 gram of fiber. Now compare that to 1 fresh peach. 13 grams of natural sugar. 60 calories. Sodium. 2 to 3 grams of fiber. Canned fruit often looks healthy on the surface, but nutritionally, it behaves more like a dessert than a fresh fruit. A 2020 report from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, found that added sugars from processed foods, including canned fruit, are one of the top 3 sources of hidden sugar in older adults' diets. And these sugars, when consumed regularly, are linked to increased risk of type 2 diabetes, higher blood pressure, fatty liver disease, and chronic kidney decline. Let's go deeper and look at the organ-by-organ impact, based on peer-reviewed studies and real-world outcomes. Heart and blood vessels. Canned fruit is often preserved with added sodium and packed in high fructose syrup. For seniors, this is a double threat. Sodium increases blood volume, leads to higher blood pressure. Fructose contributes to arterial stiffness and insulin resistance. A 2018 study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition showed that older adults who consumed more than 25 grams of added sugar daily, roughly what's in 1 cup of canned fruit, had a 36% higher risk of hypertension. Kidneys. Your kidneys work hard to filter excess sugar and sodium from your bloodstream. As you age, kidney function naturally declines. The National Institute on Aging, NIA, reports that up to 50% of adults over 70 have some stage of reduced kidney function. When your kidneys are already compromised, a high-sugar, high-sodium diet can accelerate problems such as edema, fluid retention, electrolyte imbalances, worsening of chronic kidney disease, CKD. A study published in the Journal of the American Society of Nephrology found that high-sodium diets in older adults were associated with a 33% faster decline in kidney filtration rate over 5 years. Brain. Many people overlook the brain when it comes to diet, but blood sugar spikes and chronic inflammation from added sugars have been shown to increase the risk of vascular dementia. According to Harvard Health Publishing, seniors with diets high in processed sugars have greater risk of memory loss, slower cognitive processing, depression, poor sleep quality. Practical tips for seniors and middle-aged adults. Here's what I recommend, not just for seniors, but for anyone 45 plus who wants to protect their long-term health. Always read the label. Look for packed in water or 100% fruit juice. Avoid anything that says in syrup or light syrup. Still contains sugar. Drain and rinse. Rinsing canned fruit under water for 10 to 15 seconds can reduce up to 30% of added sugar and preservatives. Keep portions small. Limit to 1/2 cup per serving, and don't treat canned fruit as an unlimited snack. Add protein or fiber. Pair with Greek yogurt, nuts, or oatmeal to reduce sugar spikes. Choose frozen when you can. Frozen fruit is often cheaper than fresh and usually contains no added sugar. Fruit. 5. We need to pay special attention to dried fruit. Sounds shocking, right? But it's something I see all the time in my practice. Older patients trying to eat clean by snacking on raisins, dates, or dried apricots, not realizing the damage it could be doing underneath the surface. Let's unpack why. When you dry fruit, you concentrate everything, calories, sugar, and carbs, while reducing water content and, in many cases, fiber. According to the USDA National Nutrient Database, here's a direct comparison. 1 cup of grapes, fresh, 62 calories, 15 g sugar, 0.9 g's fiber. 1/4 cup of raisins, dried, 108 calories, 29 g in sugar, 1.6 g fiber. That's nearly double the sugar and calories in 1/4 the volume. Most seniors don't measure by tablespoons. They grab handfuls, which means they're often eating 40-60 grams of sugar in a single snack. Fructose, the main sugar in dried fruits, is metabolized almost entirely by the liver. Unlike glucose, fructose doesn't trigger insulin at first, but it sets off a metabolic chain reaction. Increases triglyceride production, raises LDL, bad cholesterol, promotes fatty liver, triggers uric acid buildup, raising blood pressure, contributes to insulin resistance over time. A 2022 review published in Nutrients, NIH-funded, found that older adults consuming diets high in fructose had a 42% higher risk of developing metabolic syndrome, which includes abdominal obesity, high triglycerides, low HDL, good cholesterol, high blood pressure, elevated fasting glucose. Together, these factors dramatically increase the risk of heart attack, stroke, and type 2 diabetes. Fresh fruit contains water and fiber that slow down sugar absorption. Dried fruit, especially commercial varieties, often have added sugars and little fiber left, particularly if the skins are removed or they're processed. For example, dried cranberries, often sweetened, contain 29 grams sugar per 1/4 cup, but only 1 g fiber. Dried mango can have 35 grams sugar per 1/4 cup, sometimes with glucose syrup added. Dried dates. Natural, but still 65 to 75 g sugar per 100 green. The glycemic index, GI, of most dried fruits ranges from 55 to 75, and glycemic load, GL, is high due to the density. These sugars hit fast and hard. Per the Harvard Medical School Health blog, repeated post-meal glucose spikes in older adults are linked to increased arterial stiffness, decline in cognitive function, microvascular damage in eyes, kidneys, brain. Let me share a story about Eleanor, 70, from Minnesota. She came in worried about fatigue, brain fog, and sudden weight around her midsection. Her labs showed triglycerides, 256 mg DL, fasting glucose, 117 mg DL, ALT liver. Enzyme, elevated blood pressure, 142/86, despite medication. When we dug into her diet, we discovered she was snacking on natural energy bites made of dates, raisins, and dried coconut, about 3-4 per day. She thought she was doing the right thing, but in reality, each bite had 15 grams of sugar, and she was eating the equivalent of half a cup of dried fruit daily. Once we switched her snacks to apple slices with peanut butter, hard-boiled eggs, Greek yogurt with cinnamon, no fruit. Her labs normalized within 8 weeks, and she said she felt clearer and less bloated. Dried fruit and your heart, brain, and liver. Heart, high fructose increases triglycerides, which the American Heart Association identifies as a strong predictor of heart disease. Promotes inflammation in the endothelial lining of blood vessels, contributes to arterial plaque. Brain, sugar spikes followed by crashes reduce mental clarity and focus, linked to higher risk of vascular dementia in seniors, according to the Framingham Heart Study. Liver. Fructose is stored as liver fat, increasing risk of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, NAFLD. Raises uric acid, which contributes to high blood pressure and gout. Smart swaps and real-world strategies for people over 50. You don't have to give up fruit. Just choose smarter forms and watch the quantity. If you want dried fruit, stick to 1 tablespoon, no more than 1,002 parts per week. Always choose unsweetened, whole fruit versions. No added sugars, no syrups. Eat with nuts or yogurt to blunt the sugar impact. Better daily choices. Fresh berries, low GI. Apple slices with skin. Kiwi, pear, orange segments. Frozen fruits. Same nutrients, no sugar added. Need convenience? Try fruit plus protein combos. Celery plus almond butter, half banana plus cheese stick, frozen grapes plus walnuts. So let's take a moment to reflect. Grapefruit might block your heart meds. Mango can quietly spike your blood sugar. Watermelon may overload your kidneys with sugar and potassium. Canned fruit hides behind syrup and sodium. And dried fruit? It's often just candy in disguise. Each of these, in the wrong amount or at the wrong time, can slowly chip away at your heart, your memory, your energy, and your independence. But the good news is, you can take control. It starts with small, informed choices. A better swap. A smaller portion. A moment to read the label before you open the can or reach for a snack. So if you've learned something today, if this made you think twice, please like this video, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to Elderly Health Tips for more life-saving information, backed by science and made just for you.